Hello and welcome to this draft analysis video of the MDBL. Yes, today I will talk about every team in detail, what the strengths, what the weaknesses are, and to do that I will use this document created by Ballhawk, and it's a really cool document. As you can see on the top, we have all the Pokemon I drafted, and then we got the type chart, which types I'm weak against or strong against, and then also the Pokemon ordered by speed, as you can see immediately. This is my draft, the victorious Victinis, because I will talk first about my team. I think that makes the most sense. And there's a big speed gap, for example, between the Bombi and Urshifu, but I will get to that in a bit. And then on the right, bottom right, we also have some moves I wanted to filter after. We got U-turn, Volt Switch, Flip Turn, Putting Shot, so all kind of momentum moves, which can create kind of a vortex. Keep in mind that this is VGC only. The MDBL is only played in VGC. And then Fake Out, Taunt, Knockoff, so the utility options a Pokemon can have. Then Redirection with Follow Me and Rage Powder. Quick Guard and Wild Guard are also interesting in my opinion. Ally Switch, even though this is not quite correct, I think my only Ally Switch Pokemon is Farigiraf. I think the others maybe had it in the past, but not in this generation. And then the speed control moves of Trick Room, Tail Wind, Icy Wind, and Electro Web. So overall a very cool document. And yeah, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask them in the comments below. So let's get started. So I drafted these Pokemon, and funnily enough, I had the second pick, and I was thinking about what I want to pick as a first pick. And then after a long time, I settled on Urshifu Rapid Strike, because Urshifu Rapid Strike is kind of my signature Pokemon, and I also wanted to do something that others can't do, because hitting through Protect, if everybody can use Urshifu, it doesn't feel that unfair. But if you're the only one, together with the person who drafted Urshifu Single Strike, which should be Mount if I recall correctly, then you just have such a massive advantage, right? So that's why I drafted Urshifu first, and then I wanted to draft a good partner to Urshifu, and that's Farigiraf. I think that's a no-brainer. And then I picked Heatran, because the funny thing about it, these three Pokemon are the ones I also used at my very first World Championship, but I really wanted to use Heatran because I really love Heatran, and the only time I was able to play it was the World Championship, and I don't know when it will be legal again, which is why I wanted to play it this time. I know that it's legal in Reg F because this is also a Reg F draft league, but I unfortunately could not make a team work yet. But in a draft format where you can Terra as well, it feels like a good pick to me. Afterwards, I picked Crocodile because I really wanted Intimidate, and all the Intimidate options, or good Intimidate options at least, were gone. So no good Intimidators left. I didn't want to pick stuff like Granbull or Taurus, especially if I picked Taurus Water, for example, together with Urshifu, not the smartest choice. So I settled on Crocodile. I also really liked that Crocodile has Taunt, has Knockoff, and having a ground type is never bad. Next up, I picked Dragapult, another Pokemon I played in the World Championship, because I wanted to have something fast. My fastest Pokemon so far was Urshifu Rapid Strike, and Dragapult is amazing. It can do so much stuff. It has a lot of tools it can use as a support or as an offensive threat, and this is why I picked Dragapult. And next up I picked Glimmora because I really liked the idea of going for a bulky offense team, and Glimora perfectly fits into bulky offense. Once again, I can use either a more defensive set with Assault Vest, or maybe more offensive with Power Up Meteor Beam, right? And having an offensive walk type is always nice. So that's why I settled on Glimora. And then before I picked Rebombi, originally on my draft I had Kilo Watchville. The idea behind it is that I wanted to have a faster Tyrant setter, and I wanted to pick Rebombi, but Brenty, Matt Maynard, already picked Rebombi, which was a shame, because I liked Rebombi a little more than Kilo Watchville. Both work perfectly in my team, but I really wanted to have a fairy type because one player, a Squaw, bought a Regidrago, and having a Pokemon that is just immune to Regidrago is not bad. And all the fairies left were not great, so I was left with All Creamy instead. So before I had Rebombi, I had All Creamy and Kilo Watchville. Kilo Watchville and Rebombi are similar, have a similar speed stat, but I really liked that Rebombi also has Fake Tears, which helps Heatran, Farigiraf, Glimora a little more than Kilo Watchville would do. So I'm really happy that I was able to get this trade done. I picked Avalok as my Trick Room Sweeper because I realized my slowest Pokemon is Farigiraf, and I wanted something that is really slow. So I picked Avalok, and I think Avalok over Avalok Hisui, by the way, because I didn't want to stack rock types. I think Avalok is great. It has a lot of tools. It can go for Curse to be even slower and stronger. Iron Defense Body Press is right there. And yeah, Ice is not the best defensive Terra type, but I can obviously, or not the best defensive type, but I can use Terra to get around it. And also, offensive Ice types are strong. And to be fair, Avalok is not bad offensively. It has 117 attack base, which is quite a lot for, I think it was a 2-pointer. If you want to know more about the drafts, if you want to have all of them in one like view, the document is linked in the description below. And then I picked Rotom Fan. This was obviously after the trades. I did not pick Kilo Watchville and Rotom Fan. So instead of Rotom Fan, there was the All Creamy before. Okay. And I was realizing that I really wanted a flying type. Also, a flying electric type is cool because then with Crocodile I can go for Discharge Earthquake stuff called Disquake in short. So that's why I ended up with Rotom Fan, because I also really like that Rotom Fan can set up the team with, or support the team with Electro Web. It also has Nasty Plot, so I can also use it as a setup sweeper. So I was a really big fan of Rotom Fan. And then I'm still missing a grass type, okay? I've got all the other types covered, and it's in general, it's not about having every type. Keep in mind that draft, you should not always cover every type, but since Amoonguss got picked and I didn't want to be as susceptible to Sleep Powder. The cool part is that Farigiraf can also run Sapsipper, but I still wanted to have a grass type, so I was looking at grass types. And then I was also looking at Rage Powder because I was also missing Redirection, and Redirection is never a bad thing to have. And then I saw Amoonguss and I was like, oh, it's a little expensive and it's already gone. But what about Fungus? I think Fungus was a 5-pointer or a 4-pointer, and it has all the tools I need, Rage Powder and Spore mainly, and it's also very slow, which makes it a good Pokemon in Trick Room as well. And Fungus is a good Pokemon, I think, especially with a Violet. It can stay there for a long time. I also had my eyes on, is it called Poltergeist? No, that's the pre-evolution of Poltergeist. Is it Poltergeist? Or the pre-evolution of Sinistra. It could be Poltergeist. But yeah, the pre-evolution of Sinistra I also had in mind, but the problem I had with that Pokemon was that it's not as bulky as Fungus, and also Fungus can provide Clear Smog support as well, which is cool. And then last but not least, I had 1 point left. Originally, my draft only had 10 Pokemon because Kilowatt was 1 point more expensive than Ribombee, so I finished on 10. But then after the trades, I still had 1 point left. I was looking through 1 pointers, and I thought I pretty much had everything I wanted. I also had White Guard on Avalok, which is a great tool to have. And then I was looking at Fake Out Pokemon because I did not have Fake Out yet. And then I saw Makuhita and I was like, wait a second. Makuhita might be the perfect pick because Makuhita has Fake Out, it has Feint, it has Coaching, it has, Urshifu also has Coaching, but you can rarely fit it. It has Coaching, and it is slower than Farigiraf and having a faster knockoff and Trick Room, which means I can remove Assault Vest, Citrus Berries, and Eviolites before Farigiraf gets to move, and this is why I settled on Makuhita. Also gets Upper Hand, which I didn't have yet, so Makuhita just has amazing roll compression. I don't know if I will bring it, but this is why I ended on Makuhita. So these are my 11 Pokemon. A very, very bulky offense team. Not a lot of setup, to be fair, but I'm fine with that. I think it's a good team. I also kind of regret that I have a big speed gap between Ribombee and Urshifu. I really wanted to draft an Ogerpon form, but all the Ogerpon forms were gone pretty fast. Regular Ogerpon was not drafted at all, and it would have been a grass type, but regular Ogerpon for 17 points was not a great deal, and Cornerstone, Halflame, and Wellspring were like gone until my second pick. So yeah, unfortunately I could not fit anything in the speed gap. Also, there's a bigger gap between Farigiraf and Avalok, but I think down the line that's fine, honestly. Overall, a lot of spread damage I have in general with Hyper Voice, Heat Wave, Earthquake. This Dragon Darts can count as a spread move because it doesn't get blocked by White Guard. But yeah, technically also that. Sludge Wave on Glimora together with Heatran. Also together with Dragapult and Crocodile in theory because they resist poison as well. And yeah, overall, I'm very happy with the draft. I'm really looking forward to play with this team. I have some amazing tools, honestly. So yeah, I did not want to dig too deep into my team because if my opponents are watching this, I don't want to reveal the hidden tags that are in this team. But you can obviously take your guesses behind it. There are some actually insane tags with this, and I'm super excited to play with this team. So yeah, but I would say we should head to the next team now. The next team we have are the Town Pelippers, led by Squaw VGC. And I gotta say, his team is very, very threatening, but also very interesting, to say the least. It has incredible offense. Fluttermane, Landorus, Regidrago, Cerulege, Quaquaval, and all of them can be boosted by Battery from Charjabug. Battery is a good ability, and Charjabug was a 1-pointer, so that's pretty neat. Obviously, there are some insane weaknesses you can spot when you draft 3 flying types. Your only ice resistances are Cerulege and Quaquaval, which are not known for their bulk, respectively. So that could be a little annoying for him. Also, obviously, the lack of defensive tools in general. But the offensive tools are there, especially with Tailwind. You have 2 Tailwind setters with Vivillon and Tornadus, and you have a Trick Room setter as well, in theory, with Fluttermane. So Fluttermane, in general, he had the very first pick, and he decided to go with Fluttermane, because with Fluttermane, you cannot go wrong. Your opponent cannot prep for every Fluttermane there is. It could be Speed Booster, Special Attack Booster, Choice Specs, Focus Sash, and it has an insane coverage. I made a video on Friday where I broke down pretty much the Reg F metagame, and Fluttermane is a top 3 Pokemon in Reg F, and in Draft it gets even better because you don't know what Fluttermane you are up against. And then Landorus is more of a straightforward pick. Like, it is not as versatile. Most of the time you want to run Life Orb, Sheer Force. You can still run cheesy stuff like Yacheberry or maybe a Soul West Lando, Choice Scarf, but mainly you really want to run Sheer Force, Life Orb. Tornadus is a pretty good pick. Prankster Tyrant I really like. Regidrago, I would say, can be good, but in Draft, your opponent will fit a lot of Terra Fairies, and this is where the team, in my opinion, made a small mistake. There's no offensive Poison or Steel type to really punish Fairy types. I guess your Poison type is Terra Poison Landorus with Sludge Bomb, but other than that, Fairy types or Fairy Terras in general can be a little annoying for this team. We also see Wo-Chien. I think Wo-Chien, he got traded. Before Wo-Chien, he had Brood Bonnet. Brood Bonnet would have provided Rage Powder, but to be fair, Vivillon also provides Rage Powder support, which is neat. On a Tyrant team like this, you want to have priority block, and this is where Quaquaval comes in pretty nicely, because it has both Upper Hand and Quick Guard. No, actually, Ceruledge is the one that gets Quick Guard. Quaquaval has Upper Hand and Ceruledge gets Quick Guard, so that you can use your Tailwind turns to the fullest. So that's cool. And you have a lot of Taunt users as well. All your Pokemon pretty much can learn Taunt, which is pretty nice to prevent stuff like Trick Room, which would otherwise be a problem for your team, as I said. Your slowest real Pokemon, because I do not count Charjabug as a real Pokemon, is Wo-Chien with 70 base speed. That's quite fast. But yeah, generally, it's a very strong team offensively. It has some good tools. It also can go for some setup here and there with Nasty Plot Landorus, Swords Dance, Quaquaval, and Ceruledge, or Quiver Dance Vivillon. But I wonder how you get the Quiver Dance over on Vivillon, to be honest, because you don't have Fake Out, you do not have White Guard either. To be fair, you are the one going for the spread damage. You have Dancing Gleam, Sensitive Storm, Bleakwind Storm, Dragon Energy. But yeah, overall, a very interesting looking team. I would not rate it too highly, honestly, because it's just my nature that I just generally do not really like hyper offense teams that much. But yeah, I think Squall knows what he is doing, and some matchups he will have the advantage because of the sheer offensive pressure he has. But if your opponent can either deal with the offensive pressure or maybe set up the Trick Room, then you have a problem. Yes, Fluttermane learns Imprisoned Trick Room, but if you have to run Imprisoned Trick Room Fluttermane every week, that's not what you drafted Fluttermane for, right? I mean, I said you have Taunt, but obviously Mentor Trick Room is right there, or if your opponent just has Redirection plus Trick Room, it gets a little annoying. But I really wonder how this team will play out, but I would rank it a little lower. I will probably make a ranking in the end where I would say this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to my competitors, do not feel disrespected or ashamed if I rank you lower. This should actually encourage you to do better, because then the expectations are lower, because I would rather be ranked on the bottom of a tier list, because then I can exceed everybody's expectations. If I'm ranked top, yeah, that's, I guess, good for my ego, but then people have expectations and that's not great. So being ranked lower is actually, at least to me, cooler. But yeah, just as a disclaimer, because I know some people just always feel insulted when they are ranked lower. I remember when I did the Worlds tier list where I ranked every player that is qualified for Worlds, and some people were felt insulted because I ranked them at 4-4 or like 3-5 or worse. But I would be proud or happy if I get ranked there, but maybe that's just me. Anyways, let's get to the next team. Next up, we've got Joey's team, Poker Aim's team, Los Angeles Wakers. It is a very, very interesting team. And once again, on the bottom right, not all these Pokemon can learn knockoff. I think Rillaboom is the only one. Clefable should learn knockoff as well, but Bishop and Banette do not. I put Format SV in because if I put in Paldea, the DLC mons cannot get added to this sheet, but that's something that you should not bother about too much. It should just give you a rough overview about certain moves. Sometimes there are Pokemon that had moves in the past but do not have it anymore, as I said, knockoff Bishop for example, but usually you know what they can have and what they don't, right? Like Ally Switch, none of these should learn Ally Switch in Generation 9 at least. But yeah, this team is interesting, okay? So we've got Ursaluna, Blood Moon, Rillaboom, Talonflame, Spectria, Clefable, Slowbro, Galar, Halucha, Bishop, Feraligatr, and Banette. And this is the first player today that has not made any trades after the draft, which is understandable. The draft looks solid. The first pick was Ursaluna Blood Moon, and dealing with Ursaluna Blood Moon is a pain because you have to deal with Hyper Voice and Blood Moon spam. And the way you can enable Ursaluna the best is if you draft Tailwind and Trick Room. And we've got two Tailwind setters here with Talonflame and Halucha, two very fast Tailwind setters. Talonflame, in fact, has a priority Tailwind, so that's nice. And we've also got two Trick Room setters in Slowbro, Galar, and Banette. So yeah, enabling Ursaluna is obviously a way, this way you can enable Ursaluna the best. Then you obviously want your opponent to not click Protect in front of Ursaluna. So how can you punish Protect? There are multiple ways actually. If you lead Talonflame Ursaluna, for example, and your opponent clicks Protect, you could switch Talonflame into Rillaboom because you've got a Fake Out on the Rillaboom the next turn, which is really neat. Obviously, there are some nice synergies. Rillaboom plus Halucha. Halucha can carry the Grassy Seed, and then with Unburden it gets very strong. Slower Galar with Grassy Seed and Call Mind could be unbreakable, and that way you can also maybe play Grassy Seed slower with Trick Room, so that you can get the Trick Room up a little easier. You also got Follow Me support in Clefable, which is really good. Spectria is an amazing setup Pokemon. You know what's funny? When he picked Clefable and Spectria, I was about to pick Clefable and Spectria. I'm not kidding. I was between Clefable and Clefairy. They both were 13 points. But Clefable with Life Orb Magikarp is also offensively very strong. And I think Spectria is such a good Pokemon in draft. Obviously, you can run Nasty Plot or Call Mind with Grassy Seed maybe as well, and Draining Kiss, Terra Fairy, but it can also work as a supporting tool. You've got Bulldoze. Weakness Policy can be played on Slowbro, for example, or if you want to be silly and play like Terra Poison or Ursaluna or something. It gets Snarl, which is very good. It gets Will-O-Wisp, it gets Taunt. I think Spectria with 130 base speed is incredible. And then towards the lower end, we've got Bishop, Feraligatr, and Banette. Banette, for 1 point, that was a blunder. Because when I made this tier list, I made sure that all the 1-pointers are really bad and pre-evolved Pokemon, but Banette for 1 point is such a massive steal. You've got Frisk as an ability, which is amazing in draft, and you can set up Trick Room, and you are a Ghost type. So you cannot use Fake Out against it to prevent Trick Room. So if he decides to lead Clefable Banette, there's no way. Actually, there is a way to prevent Trick Room if you have enough spread moves. But if he has like Sash, Bennett, or Citrus, Bennett plus Clefable, how do you actually prevent Trick Room? Even with spread moves, with Citrus, Berry, Bennett might take it. So that's really, really strong. And I really like the Bennett pick. Bishop can punish Intimidate, which doesn't really matter. In general, this team is very specially offensive. On the physical side, you only have like Rillaboom, Talonflame, Halucha, I guess for Relegator. So there are also some physical attackers, but yeah, Bishop with Terra is a good Pokemon for cheap. You can obviously run Sword Stance sets as well. Very similar to King Gambit, just that you don't have Supreme Overlord, but you don't need Supreme Overlord if you can just run Defiant. So yeah, that way you can also punish Snarl, which could be a way to stop Ursaluna and Spectria respectively, but Bishop can punish that very nicely. Overall, the team does not have any major weaknesses, I would say. The ice weakness once again is quite there because if your ice resistances are in the bottom picks, you don't bring your bottom picks that often, I think. So yeah, other than that, it looks pretty cool. For Relegator, I don't know what Relegator is doing honestly, other than trying to get a Dragon Dance sweep going. Like Rillaboom for Relegator lead, you click Fake Out Dragon Dance and you go from there. I guess you can also run the pledges, which is funny with Rilla for Relegator. Maybe he really wanted to have a water starter, because the Swamp is an interesting mechanic that puts the speed to 25%, I think, on the opponent's side for 4 turns. And the way you activate the Swamp is by clicking Grassy Pledge plus Water Pledge. And he has the 2 starters with Grass and Water Pledge respectively. And the pledges are also really good tool to enable Ursaluna a little more. But that would require you to bring Rilla for Relegator, which is not terrible per se. So I think that's the reasoning behind the free Relegator pick. Probably a water type starter which can provide water pledge, because most water type starters were super expensive. I think Primarina, Empoleon, Greninja probably all worth more than 10 points, while for Relegator, I don't know how expensive Relegator was, maybe like 5. Because yeah, water types are Blastoise also is around 10, I think. So there were no good water type pledge options for cheap, right? So for Relegator, maybe the only one. But yeah, I would rank this team a little higher, I think, because it just has so many tools with multiple Tailwind, multiple Trick Room setters, and also just Clefable is an amazing Pokemon, because you never know when you prep for it. Is it going to be an offensive Clefable, a defensive Clefable, a setup Clefable with both Cosmic Power and Calm Mind? And as I said, Spectria, biggest steal of the draft. So I really like this team a lot. Just towards the end, there are some weird picks, like for Relegator and Halucha. I think Halucha with Rillaboom is cool, but I'm not a believer, honestly. Alrighty, next up we've got Lawsy's team, the Queen's Gholdengos. And the Queen's Gholdengos look very strong in the first picks. Orapon, Halflame, Incineroar, Primarina, Bronzong, Rhyperior, Traky. I think incredible start, but then there were some, in my opinion, questionable picks, like what's Clodsire doing? But this is another team with 10 picks and no trades whatsoever. And why am I saying this? Clodsire, I have no idea what Clodsire is doing, other than Earthquaking? Maybe the idea is that I like the combination of Bronzong Rhyperior, because you can Earthquake next to your Bronzong, but you also have Grassy Terrain, so you gotta be careful about that. But maybe Clodsire is another Pokemon that's slower than Rhyperior, and that way you can click Bulldoze and Trick Room to activate Weakness Policy, maybe something like that. I guess with double fake out plus curse Clodsire and water absorb and a good terra type, maybe you can catch someone off guard. Same goes by the way for the Chestnut. Chestnut known as Belly Drum Grassy Glide Pokemon. So another setupper. Raikou with Calm Mind is interesting. Gastrodon, I guess cause he isn't even that weak to water, but yeah, we've got 3 grass types, 3 ground types. So once again, to be fair, his ice weakness isn't that bad. He has Bronzong and Incineroar, which are 2 very good Pokemon against ice types. But it just looks so irritating. But yeah, Incin, Mini Rilla plus Ogapon. Yeah, double fake out, Sword Stance Ogapon, or Call My Primarina in grassy terrain. But you have a lot of setup tools, as I just said. Belly Drum Chestnut, Call My Raikou, Call My Primarina, Sword Stance Ogapon, Focus Energy Ogapon, Iron Defense Bronzong. So that's really cool. I really like how versatile Bronzong is in general, because you can run it as an Iron Defense sweeper, as a Trick Room setter, and also with Meteor Beam, there are also some options with that as well. I think it's a little wasted that there's not the super offensive Pokemon that can also benefit from double fake out plus follow me, because we've got follow me on Ogapon. The most offensive Pokemon there is I think Rhyperior or maybe Primarina, and those are not known as the biggest damage dealers, right? Something like Gholdengo obviously would have been nice, but Lorsy, I think, was pick number 5, and if he picks Gholdengo, he doesn't get Ogapon well. So yeah, I think overall the team really relies on setup. You have a lot of tools in general. You have multiple taunt users, multiple knockoff users. Speed control wise, you don't have Tailwind. That's a first, I think. And also no flying type overall. Seeing no flying type at all is very, very weird, to be honest. In general, with speed control is Icy Wind only, like next to Trick Room Bronzong, you have Icy Wind for Hyperior, Primarina, and Gastrodon, which are not great speed controls because it's slow Icy Wind. And since you don't have Tailwind, your speed control rather goes from below. Speaking of which, if you take a look at the speed order, 7 of the 10 Pokemon have a speed stat that's lower than 65. This is interesting if you only have 1 Trick Room setter in Bronzong. So yeah. Also, there's a bigger gap between Tracky and Ogapon, and Tracky also kind of is a fake Pokemon. So maybe that's why this draft looks so weird and so wasted to me. I think Gastrodon can be good if you have a lot of water weaknesses, but I guess Rhyperior, Terrestrialized Ogapon, Incin, I can kind of see it. You have a lot of priorities, which is cool, with Jet, Primarina, and triple Grassy Glide, double Fake Out. But yeah, the more I think about this team, the more I come to the conclusion that the main Pokemon you always bring are Tracky, Incin, Ogre, Prim, and Bronzong probably, like these 5, and then maybe sometimes you can bring Rhyperior, maybe with Chestnut once. Raikou has some interesting tools in being immune to fake out flinching because of inner focus, as well as having access to Snarl. It doesn't learn Electro Web, however, which is why you have to go for something like Scary Face. Or you use it as a Calm Mind Scald sweeper. That obviously works as well. But if your opponent can deal with the Vortex or just deny setup in general, this team could have a rougher time. But that being said, It also has some immediate offense. Don't get me wrong. Ogapon, if it just terrors immediately, find a switch in, because your switch in Incineroar, nobody has it because Lorsy drafted it himself. So finding switch-ins for Ogapon can get rough, especially if you want to use Terra Fire or Dragon to resist both of Ogapon's stabs. There is a Pokemon that punishes fire and dragon types super well in Primarina. So, as I said, I really liked the beginning of the draft. Towards the end, it gets a little silly. I guess Chestnut can maybe win a week with Belly Drum in Grassy Terrain with Grassy Glide, but getting this off is not easy, especially with Follow Me Ogapon. You can start with Ogapon Chestnut, go for Follow Me Belly Drum, and then send in Tracky. But then you bring all your free grass types, which is kind of hard against flying types, but maybe with a defensive tower on Chestnut it can work. You have tools, but I am not the biggest fan of that team, unfortunately. Maybe it's also because of the speed stats. The team is very slow, and if you only have one Trick Room setters, that's a no-go for me. But Lorsy surely can make it work, and I'm really excited to see how he will do it. Alrighty, the next team we have are the Immunity Idols from Mount Tyre. I will just call him Mount, but a super offensive start once again with Urshifu Single Strike plus Gholdengo, rounded out with Whimsicott, Rakranit, Electabuzz, Hydrapple, Mamoswine, Munkidori, Standler, and Berserker. And what you need to know is that before he picked Hydrapple and Berserker, he had Noivern and I think it was Venonat. So yeah, getting rid of Venonat for Berserker and then picking Hydrapple instead of Noivern. Interesting pick for sure. But yeah, Urshifu plus Gholdengo is incredibly offensively because Urshifu really struggles against fairy types. Gholdengo can punish them. Gholdengo really struggles against dark types. Urshifu can punish them. And paired with Whimsicott, really good core of 3 already, because you have Cheiron support for these two, which is amazing to begin with. It's your only Cheiron setup, but that's fine because it's a very good one at that. You also got Trick Room in Whimsicott and Standler, which is cool because you have some slower Pokemon that can benefit from the Trick Room more, like Hydrapple or Berserker. I think Berserker in general is a pick that could come more often than you think. Steely Spirit is an interesting ability because it boosts your team's Steel type moves by I think 50%. Which means you don't just get a boost on Berserker itself, you also get the boost on Make It Rain. And let me tell you, Choice Specs, Terra Steel, Steely Spirit boosted Make It Rain is ridiculous. But yeah, Berserker also provides fake out support, so does Munkidori. So if you want to set up something or use fake out plus Urshifu, you know Urshifu plus fake out is incredibly strong. That's pretty cool. Munkidori is an interesting pick in general because it also gets Parting Shot. Which is a nice move to have, because that way you can also play Nasty Plot Gholdengo more often, I think. Maybe start with Munkidori Gholdengo, go for Fake Out Nasty Plot, protect Parting Shot, and then Parting Shot into Whimsy, Tyrant, Make It Rain. Like, this is obviously very simple. This is very easier said than done, but in theory this can work. Mamoswine is a cool pick. Unfortunately, there's no flying type or no levitate mon, so clicking Earthquake is... You can still do it. You can obviously also play Terra Flying on something like Terra Flying Gholdengo and then just spam Earthquake, Make It Rain. But yeah, also I really like the Rakranit pick because you can punish fire types, because Gholdengo and Whimsicott do not really like to stare down fire types that much. I'm just surprised that the Rakranit pick was that early on. It was his 4th pick. I guess Rakranit is a unique Pokemon, so it could have been contested. It also gets White Guard, which is neat. We also have Redirection and Electabuzz. Electabuzz in general, a Pokemon that is good on teams like this because it provides Electroweb support as well. But yeah, it's once again a more offensive team with some bulky tools like Intimidate, Stand and the double fake out from Munkidori and Berserker. But overall, you rather want to win in very few turns, and you can definitely do that. I wonder why he decided to pick Hydrapple, because I feel like there were probably better picks in the pool. I think Hydrapple, I saw it in the WTL. James Beck had some good success with Hydrapple, but on this team it looks a little misplaced because you don't have this reliable Trick Room setter, and Hydrapple really wants Trick Room support, so you can use it more offensively as well. Once again, are there any major weaknesses? Not really. Flying is kind of annoying because you have 4 flying weaknesses and your resists are only Gholdengo and Berserker, and Berserker is kind of fake, and Gholdengo as your only flying resist. But other than that, it looks fine. The fire weakness, obviously, even though you have Araquanid, is still there. You don't have a single resist, and that can make it hard. I think nobody drafted Sun, but offensive fire types have a good time into this if they can deal with Araquanid, or maybe the partner can deal with Araquanid. But yeah, this team is overall slightly better than average, I would say, because the first 3 just pull so much weight. It just gets interesting because this means that we will have some rather unique or rare picks every week, because every week he has to bring like either Araquanid or Munkidori or Stand or Berserker, because he cannot get away with Urshifu, Gholdengo, Whimsicott, and Mamoswine, Electabuzz. I don't know even. Usually you can say, okay, these are the 4 you can pretty much bring every day. Like when I did that with Lorsy, and I said Instant Track, Eevee, Ogapon, Primarina. But here you have the first 3, and then Mamoswine, I guess. But yeah, I really like that the speed tiers are good. There's a bigger gap between Mamoswine and Berserker, but that's fine. Your fastest Pokemon is Whimsicott, so nothing above 120, which is kinda hard to justify, because that way some players can play a positive nature on their attackers. Also Whimsicott, some people do not have to, or some Pokemon do not have to speed creep on Whimsicott, so the fastest Pokemon really is Munkidori, which means all Pokemon with 125 base speed can get away with an adamant or modest nature, which is a little annoying for this team because it also doesn't have the biggest bulk. But yeah, there's also currently a snowstorm outside in Germany, so I hope this is fine and doesn't hurt the recording too much. But yeah, this team, I really like how it plays because it also has Frisk on Standard in theory. Intimidate is just superior, but if you really need to figure out items, Frisk is also an option on Munkidori, by the way. Toxic Chain, once again, the better ability in a vacuum, but Frisk in draft is a very valuable tool, so that's something I also still wanted to mention. But yeah, good team, really excited to see what it can do. Okay, hold your horses, because this next team, it cannot get more offensive than this, can it? This is the team from the Baltimore Pangorioles, led by Justin Tang, and it looks so scary. Sneasler, Indeedee Male is already a strong combination. We have seen it in Regulation H a ton. Paired with Chi-Yu Iron Bundle, We have also seen this one in the past, and it's been very strong. Paired with Garchomp Corviknight, oh god, it gets even worse. And then Tyranitar to set up Sand, so you can run Sandveil, Garchomp. Also like Garchomp Corviknight, Tyranitar, we have also seen that in the past. And then we've got Morgrem and Duosion. And yeah, offense. What should I say? You've got also multiple fake out Pokemon, which is funny with Sneasel, Morgrem, and Indeedee. But Indeedee is mainly here to set up the Psychic terrain, right? Because a lot of your Pokemon are weak to priorities, especially like Chi-Yu, Aqua Jet, Mach Punch, and all the likes. And fake out is obviously an annoying thing against hyper offense teams like this one, but with Indeedee you can prevent that because of a Psychic Surge. Other than that, you also have Tailwind on the Corviknight, your only Tailwind setter, so it's not a fast Tailwind, but it's a reliable Tailwind setter, because Corviknight usually eats a hit and then can set up a Tailwind. We have seen that a lot. Also, you can run Psychic Seed Corviknight with Bulk Up Roost and get pretty much unkillable, which is really cool. And yeah, other than that, we've got two Trick Room setters in Duosion and Indeedee. You don't really have a Trick Room sweeper outside of Duosion. Your slowest Pokemon is Tyranitar after that. But yeah, maybe it's for some certain matchups where Duosion can shine with Expanding Force in Psychic Terrain. Duosion is not a bad pick. It can run Vivillite, but you could also run Life Orb with Magic Guard. Duosion actually has a lot of special attack, as you can see here, 125. That is criminal high. Indeedee, for example, has 105. It has 20 more special attack than Indeedee. So it is a very strong attacker. Morgrem, I think, is here to maybe set up screens, because hyper offense teams can get very scary if they survive hits, because usually you just they do a lot of damage, but you just OKO them back, so overall you have a positive trade. But if they are behind screens and get multiple hits off, impossible for you to win. So that's probably the thought behind Morgrem. And yeah, I mentioned it in the beginning, there are a lot of just cores you can use. You have Sneasel plus Indeedee, which is obvious, Garchomp plus Corviknight, Iron Bundle plus Chi-Yu. But you can also use Iron Bundle plus Indeedee, you can use Indeedee plus Chi-Yu, you can use Garchomp plus Tyranitar. So overall, that is really, really cool. A little sad, obviously, that Tyranitar breaks your sashes, because you have so many Pokemon, so many prime candidates that want to carry a focus sash, like Iron Bundle, Indeedee, Chi-Yu, or Sneasel. But you can also play around that. I mean, you are the one running Tyranitar, so you can in the end decide if you want to run a focus sash on something or not. Yeah, offensively, incredible. Defensively, also not bad, but on the offensive side, dealing with offensive Water, Ice, Fire, Dark, Fighting, Poison, Psychic coverage, and Ground Dragon even, you can throw in there as well. I don't know how. I honestly have no idea how. The Garchomp obviously could be paired with Coaching Sneasel as well. Air Balloon Sneasel plus Garchomp is a thing. You can also coach Corviknight, coach Tyranitar. So that's also an option. And yeah, overall speaking, I don't know how to get through this team. Maybe with Trick Room again, but against Trick Room you also have a lot of Taunt users with Tyranitar, Sneasel, Morgrem, Iron Bundle, Corviknight, and Chi-Yu. You could also run Imprison Indeedee. You can run Imprison Duosion even, I think, because the problem with Indeedee is that it probably just dies immediately. But if you start with Duosion, you can maybe go for Imprison Trick Room to just prevent opposing Trick Room if you really want it. Spread moves are very strong here. Once again, Earthquake, Rock Slide, Heat Wave, Expanding Force. So yeah, overall, a very scary looking team. I would not be happy to play against that. It obviously also has some unreliable stuff like overheat, heat wave, icy wind, rock slide. But rock slide can also be a high variance move in your favor. Same goes for Dire Claw Sneasler and Freeze Dry Bundle just freezing, Heat Wave burning. So this is kind of a casino team, which is why it can go both ways. I think it can win every match, but you can also lose every match with it, which makes it a very devious team to play with, but also to play against. I think that Indeedee Mail is obviously a strong pick, but if your opponent knows that your opponent is running Psychic Surge Indeedee, they could tag stuff to abuse the Psychic Terrain themselves, because you cannot use priorities yourself. So no more Fake Out with Sneasler, no more Fake Out with Morgram, no more T-Wave with Morgram as well if he decides to bring Indeedee plus Morgram. But yeah, overall speaking, a scary looking team that can definitely go both ways. I am excited what Justin will do with it, because speed-wise, by the way, pretty good speed tiers. 136 on Bundle, then 120 with Sneasler, 1-2 with Garchomp. Well done there. Alrighty, the next team we have are the Driftveil City Bears from Fede Campo. And I gotta say, the team is interesting. I don't think it's very good, unfortunately, but let's get started. It has Iron Crown, Ogapon Cornerstone, Okidogi, Salamence, Entei, Rotom Wash, Snorlax, Sableye, and Ice Cube. No trades made, and interestingly enough, we have Iron Crown without Psychic Terrain. How did this happen? Matt Maynard decided to pick Indeedee Female early on, but if you just saw the Justin Tang Indeedee Male pick, it was picked in round 3, because Fede maybe thought he would get Indeedee Male in round 3 because he picked Iron Crown. Then he picked Ogapon Cornerstone, even though Indeedee Female was already gone, and then Indeedee Male was picked, and he had no option left anymore but to stick with Iron Crown. However, I would say that Iron Crown, even without Expanding Force, is not a terrible pick. Obviously, it would have been a great pick with Expanding Force being available, but you can still go for some interesting stuff like Self Shadow Sneak with Sableye into Iron Crown, trigger Weakness Policy, and then get going. Tachyon Cutter is a pretty strong move. It learns Electric Terrain, however, there's no other Iron Pokemon. That would have been cool if he maybe picked another Iron Pokemon and then maybe plays manual Electric Terrain on Iron Crown. But Iron Crown also learns Quick Guard, which is cool. So Iron Crown itself is a good Pokemon, cannot use its full potentially, however, because there's also no Pokemon learning manual Psychic Terrain. Then we've got Cornerstone. Cornerstone is a great pick and also one of Fede Campo's signatures. I think he played Cornerstone for a lot, so he knows what he's doing. I approve of Cornerstone. Then we've got Okidogi, and I think Okidogi is another good pick. It can be fraudulent. It has a 4 times psychic weakness, and in general, Okidogi does not have the best bulk. Like, its bulk seems fake because most of the time it's being used with Assault Vest. So that's something you gotta keep in mind, that Okidogi without Assault Vest is not as bulky, but it's a good Pokemon to punish Intimidate, which could otherwise be used to hinder Salamence and Ogapon respectively. Then Salamence has Intimidate support and Tyrant support, which is pretty much needed for these Pokemon, because they really want Tyrant. But unfortunately, the Tyrant setter is not the fastest Pokemon itself, because it's just Salamence with 100 base speed. It's not slow by any means, but there are way faster Tailwind setters. There are a lot of priority Tailwind setters like Talonflame, Whimsicott, Tornadus, or very fast Tailwind setters like Iron Jugglers with Booster Energy, Wibombi, Kilowattrill, Neuvan, but he decided to go for Salamence in the end. I'm not a big Salamence fan, because other than setting Tailwind, it can go for Dragon Dance, but its move pool is a dual Wing Beat, Dragon Claw, Draco Meteor, Fire Blast. If you had Metagross, I could see it with Bulldoze, but we will see. Then Entei, you know that I'm the Entei guy. I wonder how good Entei in draft is. You can do some funny stuff with Entei Sableye lead and click Sunny Day with Sableye and then Eruption with Entei. But other than that, Entei probably only good as... I mean, it can be used as an Assault Vest Pokemon, Life Orb Attacker, Choice Band. Snarl support is obviously nice. So yeah, we've got Rotom Wash, and Rotom Wash Hydro Pump is not super reliable, and you can also not go for Disc Quake because you don't have a ground type. However, Rotom also provides Electroweb support, so I would not consider it bad, just unreliable. Snorlax is a cool pick, but the team is missing Trick Room. With Trick Room, I could see Snorlax being a good pick. Now it's just a mediocre pick. I have had Snorlax in a singles draft league recently, and sometimes we also played VGC, like every second week was VGC, and I never bought Snorlax. I might have bought it once with Belly Drum plus Trick Room Slowking, but without Trick Room, getting the Belly Drum going is hard. I guess you have Follow Me Ogapon, but and Intimidate Salamence, so maybe. But what do you do after? Gluttony, Custard Berry, Rock Slide for a one-time Rock Slide, or Earthquake next to Rotom or Salamence? You also have Quash on Sableye, I guess, but Quash doesn't work against both targets, just against one. So I really hate Snorlax. I also really hate Ice-Q, a second Belly Drum Pokemon, but Ice-Q is bad. If your opponent just hits you with special attacks, Ice-Q is not doing that much. And then we've got Sableye. Sableye is a good Pokemon. You never know what it's doing. Rain Dance, Sunny Day, Light Screen, Reflect, Quash, Will-O-Wisp, Fake Out, Shadow Sneak, Foul Play, Anchor, Disable. Sableye has a lot of tools, but it was also very expensive. And on this team, you don't have that many self-Shadow Sneak targets. You have Iron Crown and maybe Terrestrialized Entei, so that you can click Shadow Sneak and then start clicking E-Speed with +2 attack, but yeah. You have multiple Taunt users at least, with 3, one Fake Out user and Sableye. Having no Trick Room here is weird. You can set up on pretty much everything. As I said, Calm Mind, Iron Crown, Agility, Iron Crown, Sword Sense, Ogre-Palm, Bulk Up, Okidogi, Dragon Dance, Salamence, Double Belly Drum, Nasty Plot, Rotom. So setup is there. And maybe that's the way this team is supposed to play. Set up screens with Sableye and set up one of your Pokemon, then try to win that way. Because fastest Pokemon Ogapon, I said it before and I will say it again, fastest Pokemon 110 is not very good. I really like to have at least 120 on one, or 115 at least. Here we have 110. At least there are no big speed gaps here. So yeah, it just gets a little problematic if your team doesn't do the damage it wants to do, but also isn't bulky enough. Also, do we have like spread moves here? We have Eruption, Discharge, and Earthquake Salamence, I guess. So the lack of spread moves, or like of good spread moves, because Discharge, you cannot really click Discharge on this team. So it only really is Eruption, and Earthquake you can also only really click next to Rotom Wash. Maybe what you can do is lead Salamence Ice-Q and get your Ice Phase going with Bulldoze, like Belly Drum Bulldoze, but I unfortunately, this is not a team for me, even though it has some cool picks alone, like Entei, Ogre Iron Crown. Just the synergy is missing a little bit, at least for me. Next up, we've got the Mount Freeze Merchants, led by Freezai. And I gotta say, holy, this is a top-heavy team. We've got the first 7 picks in Chien-Pao Dragonite, Amoonguss Arcanine, Chaludon Basque Legion, Politoed. And then we've got 2 1-pointers with Girafarik and Gothita. So I think Gothita, by the way, on this team is not a bad pick, because you have Perish Song Politoed and Shadow Tag Gothita. It's also your Fake Out Pokemon, and you can maybe go for a Trick Room mode with it as well. So Gothita for 1 point, not a bad pick. But yeah, most of the time we will see the first 7 Pokemon, pretty much. And I wonder how this will work, a top-heavy draft like this one. Because you really only have to pay attention to 7 Pokemon, not 10 or 9. I guess Gothita, you should never rule out the possibility of Gothita, but Girafarik is ass. I think Girafarik will never be bought. But yeah, we've got 1 Tyranitar and Dragonite, which could set it up with Multiscale if he wants to. But other than that, no Fake Out other than Gothita. Redirection on Amoonguss, and just pure damage. The Triple Rain combo of Chaludon Basque Legion Politoed is pretty strong. We have seen it in the past. And you know what would have been funny? If somebody sniped Politoed. Because when Freezai picked Politoed, I think there were some players before him that could have picked Politoed, because if there's no Politoed, Pelipper was too expensive, because he only had like 13 points left for 3 picks, because you needed at least 9 picks, and it barely worked out with Politoed being 11, and then Girafarik 1 and Gothita 1. But if somebody picked Politoed, no Pelipper for him, no Politoed for him, I guess he could have made some swaps to get Pelipper, but his team would have been worse. But he was able to get the Politoed, and yeah, let me tell you, Politoed, Basque Legion, Chaludon is something. How do you prepare for both rain? Amoonguss also really benefits from rain, because you get rid of the fire weakness, and technically you can run Special Dragonite as well with Hurricane, Thunder, Hydro Pump. So that also works out. Yeah, you have Intimidate and Regenerator. You don't have setup, to be fair, other than like Dragon Dance, Dragonite, but you don't need setup, right? And yeah, Chien-Pao Dragonite, Power Knight in short, very dangerous, because Terra Normal E-Speed is a threat, so is Loaded Dice Scale Shot, or a Soul Vest Dragonite gives you some good backbone, even though Chaludon is probably the better Soul Vest user. Depends on the matchup, obviously. But you can also run, you don't have to run Politoed, by the way, in order to use Basque Legion and Chaludon. You can also run Scarf Basque Legion and power up Chaludon, and then the first 4, and don't bring Politoed, instead like Chien-Pao Dragonite, Amoonguss Arcanine, Chaludon Basque Legion. And this looks so painful to deal with, because there's no major weakness this team has. I guess Dragon is not a bad type into this, because there's not a single resist against Dragon, so that's something I realized. But other than that, looks like a solid core of 6 or 7, if you count Politoed. Yeah, other than that, what I'm noticing is that there's a big speed gap between Chien-Pao and Arcanine. But Basque Legion with Swift Swim can help get around that. Scale Shot Dragonite also kind of fits in the speed here. Yeah, your Trick Room counterplay is Amoonguss, which is good Trick Room counterplay. And yeah, no Quick Guard, no White Guard, just sheer offense. So yeah, I think this is one of the strongest teams, because I also don't know which types you cannot hit, because if I think about water types against Basic Legion and Champow, then there's Electroshock from Archaludon, and maybe even like Leaf Storm from Among Us. So what about ground types? Okay, maybe that's a bad example, because against rain, ground types? I don't know about that. But you know what I mean? Dragon types that also want to resist water just get obliterated by ice and dragon type moves. So yeah, overall a good draft. I think Gothita will see maybe 1 or 2 weeks where it can be brought. The stats of Gothita are just not very good. Actually, the bulk, 45 HP, 50 def, 65 speed def with a Violite. Maybe. But yeah, good draft. You need to pack both rain counterplay and a Power Knight counterplay while not being susceptible to Intimidate Cycle from Arcanine as well as Among Us. Yeah, top heavy drafts I thought would not be great, and that's why I wanted to draft more of like 9 or 10 just good Pokemon that I can bring in pretty much every matchup. But Freezer really wants to show that it should be done this way, and he might be onto something, because this is one of the best teams, period. The next team we have is the team from the Battle Room. Colin Hire is turning up with his Milwaukee Marills, and this draft looks scary once again. We have Ogerpon, Wellspring, Gouging Fire, Ninetales, Alola, Kingambit, Articuno, Slivering, Moltres, Galar, Pheasant Pity, and Rhydon. And you have like obvious synergies, right? Ninetales, Articuno, oh, nightmares. And then you have Howl from Gouging Fire, which is very nice for Ogerpon and Kingambit, especially if your opponent really wants to bring Incineroar or just any Intimidate Pokemon, Arcanine, Incineroar, Crocodile. Kingambit can punish it with Defiant. So these 5 already are strong. And then we have Slivering, Moltres, Pheasant Pity, and Rhydon. I think Pheasant Pity is a good pick because it's a Tailwind setter, which you have 3 of, by the way. You have Articuno, Moltres, and Pheasant Pity. But it can also spread Icy Wind, which you also have multiple of. But Poison in general is not bad if you have Aurora Veil with Ninetales. And yeah, your team can be very hard to remove with Aurora Veil, with a Snow Boost on Articuno, Breaking Swipe support on Gouging. Very, very good picks overall. No Intimidate, interestingly enough. I think that's okay. You don't need Intimidate. No Fake Out as well. No Knockoff, by the way. So you can not get rid of the items. And yeah, Redirection we only got on Ogerpon, but Ogerpon is a phenomenal redirector. And we don't have Trick Room, which is a little sad, because I feel like Rhydon could have really enjoyed Trick Room environment. Because Swords Dance Rhydon in Trick Room, good pick. But yeah, Lightning Rod is nice. You get rid of one of Articuno's weaknesses, and in general, Electric, you only resist, otherwise would have been Gouging Fire. So Lightning Rod, Rhydon makes a lot of sense here. Not having Trick Room for Kingambit either, so that's also a little sad, but I mean, Kingambit has Sucker Punch. In general, we got some nice priorities with Sucker Punch and First Impression on the Slivering. Nice priorities in terms that they are strong, they are just not very reliable, right? Because Sucker Punch, you know how Sucker Punch works, and First Impression only works on the first turn Slivering is on the field. So yeah, in general, I'm a little surprised to see Slivering here. Maybe it's one of his favorite Pokemon, because I guess with Howl support, maybe Slivering can do something. But yeah, Moltres Galar behind screens is a demon. It can go for nasty plots quite nicely. So that's another good pick. Fire types are a little annoying for the team. You've got Gouging and Ogerpon, but Gouging doesn't do that much back against fire types. If you think about it, like I guess it learns Earthquake, but you're only You have 2 flying types, so you could run Earthquake Gouging, but fire types still a little annoying. Yeah, anyways. Speed-wise, it's alright. Fastest Pokemon Ogapon if you exclude Booster Energy. Otherwise, you obviously have Gouging Fire and technically also Slithering, but Slithering, I don't know how you have to EV Slithering where it gets a speed boost instead of an attack boost. It's most of the time not worth it anyways. So yeah, overall, some nice synergies again. If your opponent finds counterplay, it's a little rough. The cool part is if your opponent wants to change the weather, if they want to click Sunny Day, you have 2 Photosynthesis Pokemon and a Fire type. If they want to click Rain Dance, you've got Ogapon Wellspring, which benefits from the rain. And if they have like Sandstorm, you've got Rhydon, which gets a Spadef boost, and manual Sandstorm is not really a thing. And the only Sandstorm setup that was drafted, I think, is with Tyranitar from Justin. And against Tyranitar, you've got a lot of tools as well with Ogapon Wellspring, King Gambit, Slitherwing. So yeah, overall, this team is lacking some tools, obviously, that I really wanted to have with Fake Out and Trick Room and Knockoff. But nonetheless, I would rate this team quite highly because you once again have to deal with multiple modes, and sometimes it's just impossible to deal with Articuno in the snow, because how can you prevent Snowcloak? Yeah, you have to change the weather, because if you get unlucky, you are never hitting it, and meanwhile it just clicks Blizzard on you and freezes you, and nightmares. But yeah, a 9 Pokemon team, by the way, once again. I think drafting 9 instead of 10 is a little risky because you just have limited options, but the options here are way off, or are not that limited, I would say. But yeah, we will see when I rank all these teams together where it will place, but I'm pretty sure it will be above average. The next team on my list are the Contrary Crobats, led by Brenty, also known as Matt Maynard. No, he's Matt Maynard, also known as Brenty. But with a very unique draft. Once again, a 9 Pokemon team, but overall some strong picks, some weird picks, but we will get to that in a bit, because what I gotta tell you is that he made an change. So there's Bubonnet, right? But before he had Bubonnet, it was Ribombee and Stonjourner. So he had 10 Pokemon originally, but he decided to drop Ribombee and the Stonjourner for the Bubonnet, which is why we are only having 9 Pokemon right now. And I mean, I take it. I wanted the Ribombee, and I am so surprised that he did not want the Kilowattrel, because he's missing a flying type, he's missing an electro type, and Kilowattrel or Saluna, I mean, have you watched Regulation H? Earthquake next to a competitive Pokemon, so if your opponent wants to throw in Intimidate, they boost your Kilowattrel. Yeah, he disliked the idea of playing Kilowattrel. I don't know. In general, a lot of Trick Room setters with Indeedee, Armarouge, and Galate. I mean, that's the classic hard Trick Room stuff with Ursaluna too, and Rage Powder on the Bubonnet, so you also have double redirection with Bubonnet and Indeedee. I think Blastoise does not learn Follow Me anymore. It had Follow Me in the past, but it should not have it anymore. We've got multiple White Guard Pokemon with Armarouge and Galate. We've got Tailwind on the Roaring Moon. Maybe that's your flying type, which you can click Earthquake next to. That's just a little wasted potential, because I really would have liked to see a flying type, and I think Kilowattrel would have fit perfectly, because I reached out to him when I had Kilowattrel and he had Ribombee. I was like, come on, let's trade, and he said nope, no way in hell. And then he saw like Bubonnet and was like, oh, Bubonnet, and then he ditched Ribombee, and I was like, yes, Ribombee. But yeah, we've got, why is there Registeel? Registeel only works on Iron Defense Body Press comps, but I guess you have double redirection, and if you set up Trick Room, it might work. That's cool. Warring Moon could also work as a Dragon Dance attacker here with double redirection. So that's something. Um, this team looks so weird. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's also that there are a lot of fighting weaknesses. Your resists are like, I guess you have 3 resists or immunities with Armorwoosh, Registry, and Forceless. I really liked Warring Moon. I wanted to pick Warring Moon myself originally, but then since I had the second pick, my first pick was I picked my Urshifu, and then on the second round I wanted to pick Warring Moon, but Matt instead picked Warring Moon before I was able to get to it, and I'm not too upset, but Warring Moon is just so versatile. You can run it as a Tyrant support, you can run it as a Dragon Dance Pokemon, you can run it more offensively, like you could also run Choice Band technically, so a lot of options. You also, on this team in particular, you have a possibility to click Earthquake on your Armorwoosh and activate Weakness Armor Weakness Armor Policy, Weak Armor Weakness Policy. You could also U-turn and Terra Psychic Armorwoosh, and you U-turn into Indeedee, and then you click like U-turn Terra Psychic Expanding Force or U-turn Terra Psychic Store Power, because you have so many boosts, man, with +2 speed, +2 special attack, +2 attack. So technically Store Power is, not just technically, Store Power is a 140 base power move. So a lot of options you've got here. Ursaluna, since you have both Tyrant and Trick Room, works quite nicely as well. It just gets a little weird towards the end. Blastoise with double redirection, Shell Smash is good. I do not know what Forceless is doing, honestly. Also, there's an insane speed gap between Forceless and Gallade, because let's be real, max speed in DD female should not be a thing. So a big speed gap between Forceless and Gallade, which I'm not the biggest fan of. And what's Forceless doing? Originally, I looked at Forceless, funnily enough, because I drafted Crocodile, right? And Crocodile has the ability Anger Point. So I was looking at some interesting Pokemon like Forceless and Cryogonal, because they learned the move Frost Breath, which is a guaranteed critical hit. And if I click it on my Crocodile, I get to +6 attack. But then I have to Terra Crocodile, and this is why I was not the biggest fan of the idea, but I had Forceless on my draft. But what is Forceless doing here? It's clicking Icy Wind, I guess. It's clicking Taunt. So, I don't know. Forceless seems kind of wasted here. Maybe... Nah, I was also thinking it has Will-O-Wisp, it has Thunder Wave, so something like that, but yeah, maybe I should ignore the Forceless. But if I ignore the Forceless, I feel like this team, it looks like it has it all, but that's an on-paper thing. I think in practical scene, you will not perform that well with a team. At least I would not perform that well with a team. If Matt does it, then it's because he's a strong player. But I think this team is not very strong. It has some nice picks per se, but it just looks so off. I have no idea why, but it looks off. But maybe that's what's messing with me. I just don't like the look of it, and that's maybe why it's stronger actually when I'm saying, and I don't give it enough credit. But to me, it looks mashed together with things that could work together, like indeed the Armorwoosh, and then the Warring Moon Armorwoosh I just talked about earlier, and then the Gallade as another Trick Pokemon, and then Redirection of Boop Bonnet and a Grass type. But it looks a little too messy, at least for me. If you like it, feel free to write it in the comments down below. But we still have 2 more teams to go, which I want to talk about now as well. Next up on our list is Joe UX9, Joseph Ugart, with the New York Yveltals. And I gotta say, this is a very interesting draft. First time in a while, I think we are the only ones. So I and Joe are the only ones that drafted 11 Pokemon. And some Pokemon here are some steals. And I really like the synergies this team has. But before I talk about the Pokemon, fastest Pokemon, Landorus Eyebrow. That's a no. I think this is the slowest, fastest Pokemon, right? What I want to say is there a player where the fastest Pokemon is below 101? I don't think there is. And that's kinda risky, because that means that all the Pokemon with 115 base speed can run a positive nature on their attacking stat instead, or bulk stat if they want to, and that's rather rough. But other than that, the picks are very cool, I gotta say. We've got Iron Hands, Landorus Eye, Arcanine Hisui, Sinistra, Grimmsnarl, Milotic, Orthworm, Coughing, Slacking, Riolu, and Yanma. So 3 baby Pokemon with Coughing, Riolu, and Yanma, but they are strong. Coughing plus Slacking is an incredible duo. I think having Coughing instead of Wheezing is not a bad trade, because if you think about it, Coughing can hold the Eviolite, which makes it pretty much as bulky as Wheezing. The HP stat is a little low with 40, but it can still set up the Toxic Spikes or the Poison Gas. So meanwhile, Slacking can still do a lot of damage, so I really like that. Riolu provides Prankster support with either Rain Dance for something like Milotic, or a 100% accurate Sensitive Storms for Landorus. It also provides coaching, which can help Orthworm, Arcanine, Hands, so that's not a bad pick. And Yanma probably the worst, but it has Compound Ice Hypnosis. You could run that. It has Frisk, so you can run that. Or Speed Boost plus Tailwind. So you lead with, I don't know, Yanma, Landorus. You take both, and then suddenly you have a fast Tailwind and can click Tailwind, Sensitive Storm. Easier said than done, but I really like the theory behind that. Orthworm, I'm a big Orthworm believer. The problem that Orthworm has here is that you don't have the great Earthquake partner, or the great Bulldoze partner, or the greatest Pokemon that you want to switch into Shed-Tail, I think. Because what I mean with that is that if you have a Fluttermane, perfect candidate for Shed-Tail, or like Multiscale Dragonite also provides Earthquake support. But here you have like Iron Hands, Landorus Eye doesn't really want to run Earthquake, I feel like. Something like Tinglu, you know, or I don't know, even Bulldoze Incineroar. That's what I'm missing here. So Orthworm is good, but cannot shine in its full potential. But Iron Defense Orthworm, maybe with Intimidate on Arcanine and Light Scream from Grimmsnarl. Hey, maybe that's the way. Milotic can punish Intimidate with Competitive. And it's a water type which can both act offensively and defensively. And Muddy Water, Icy Wind, Hypnosis, it kind of has it all. And this is pretty neat, I would say. We also got Trick Room, by the way, on the Sinistra. Sinistra is very expensive. I think it was like 16 or 17 points. And the heal is still not bad, because you can heal Iron Hands. Like, you can go for Belly Drum with Hands and have Sinistra, which can then set up Trick Room. So maybe your Orthworm, this is kind of crazy. You Orthworm, you lead with like Grimmsnarl Orthworm. You go for Reflect or Light Screen Shed-Tail into Iron Hands, then you Belly Drum, but then you only can run one Citrus Berry, not on both Orthworm and Iron Hands. But then you have screens, you Belly Drum, you switch Grimmsnarl with Parting Shot into Sinistra, and then, or you set the second screen and then you Parting Shot into Sinistra, get the heal with Hospitality, and then you click Trick Room. So it gets insane, because Parting Shot, Grimmsnarl plus Sinistra is devious work, because you can cycle Hospitality quite nicely, and the damage output will get reduced to 0 with Reflect, Light Screen, Spirit Break, Intimidate. That's Oh, but I'm so happy that I have Surging Strikes. But then there's this signature Milwaukee helmet. No, I want Wicked Blow. This is a strong team. It's a slow team. Only has one Trick Room Setter and Sinistra. But if used correctly, it can just make it so frustrating to play against. We've also got double fake out with Grimsnarl and Iron Hands, by the way. Landorus, by the way, can also set up with Nasty Plot or Substitute. So yeah, overall, incredible team. You can also cycle Hospitality or Intimidate with U-Turn Landorus or Volt Switch Iron Hands. So, but what I'm realizing here is that a lot of these Pokemon have 4 moveset syndrome, or rather, it's hard to fit Tact on them. Protect is a good move, but like Iron Hands wants to have Fake Out, or all the other attacks. Grimmsnarl cannot really fit Protect. Sinistra cannot really fit Protect. Milotic, Overwhelm. You see what the issue is, but if your opponent just can't get through your team, it doesn't mean anything that you cannot run Protect, right? And in the end, your opponent still has to respect it. If they are just hard reading that your Grimmsnarl doesn't have Protect, and then they doubling it, and then the Grimmsnarl suddenly protects, huge momentum gain, right? So yeah, you could also run Frisk on Grimmsnarl. So we've got double Frisk, even though both Pokemon have better abilities. But if you really want to figure out items, it's good in draft. So yeah. And Rockhead Arcanine can also be used because you also have, you already have so much damage mitigation, so you can run Head Smash, Flare Blitz, Arcanine. So yeah, the only thing that I'm really missing here is like this fast Pokemon, because fastest Mon Landorus is kind of a no. Also, psychic types look a little annoying, I think. You've got Grimmsnarl and Orthworm, and that's it. So offensive psychic types that can threaten Grimmsnarl and Orthworm. Shoutouts to Armor Rouge and Gallade. Seems a little scary. But Grimmsnarl can also set up Misty Terrain, so there are some ways you can play, at least against Side Spam, but there are also other psychic types. Shoutouts for Farigiraf. I don't even know if Farigiraf is that good into him, but we will see when we play. Actually, it's Joe in my group. He might not be in my group, so maybe in phase 2 we will see. But before that, let's head into the last team, which I'm also really excited about sharing with you. The last team we have are the Thunderclap Titans, led by the Uzi Gunner. I will just call him Uzi. So Uzi actually made a change, and this is why I'm surprised to see 11 Pokemon, because originally he had 10, and that's why I said Joe and I are the only ones with 10. But Uzi, before he had Fletchinder, he had Moltres instead. So he decided to ditch the Moltres for Fletchinder, and then he had 1 point left and picked up, I think, Mudbray. So, a good trade, I would say, because Fletchinder is a better Tailwind setter. To be fair, he doesn't have the best Pokemon to lead, like, he doesn't have, like, Gholdengo or Urshifu to just click Tailwind Surging Strikes or Tailwind Make It Rain. He has, like, Tailwind Thunderbolt with Raging Bolt, so maybe Moltres would have still been better. But I like the Mudbray pick, honestly. We've got Raging Bolt, Annihilate, Dondozo, Mousehold, Weezing, Galar, Regigigas, Tatsugiri, Toadschool, Fletchinder, Impidimp, and Mudbray. So you can immediately see these duos that work pretty well again. We've got Weezing, Toadschool, Weezing, Regigigas, Dondozo, Tatsugiri, Mousehold, Annihilate, Mousehold, Mudbray, because let me tell you, if you get a beat up on your Mudbray and +4 defense, stamina, Eviolite, Mudbray, if your team is physical, have fun getting through it, especially with Friend Guard. We've got T-Spikes and we're Weezing, which is why I'm really happy to have 2 grounded poison types. But yeah, fastest one, Mousehold, and then Regigigas is once again a little rough, but other than that, the speed tiers are spread very well around. We've got screens on Impidimp if he really wants to have screens, and it's an option. Raging Bolt behind screens or Annihilate behind screens, or those be everything here behind screens is a menace. So the Impidimp's pick kind of makes sense. The more I think about it, the less I'm excited about the Fletchinder. But I really like Toad School using Regigigas, so that way you have 2 Pokemon that can be next to Regigigas with their ability removed. We've got Redirection in Mousehold. We've got Fake Out in Impidimp, kind of a fake out. We've also got Redirection in Toad School, by the way, with Rage Powder. So you can use Raging Bolt and Annihilate as setuppers with Bulk-Up or Calm Mind respectively, and then and then redirect the moves with Mousehold or Toad School. We also got White Guard on Regigigas, which is pretty cool, because that means that Regigigas can also be used outside of Weezing. That's something people actually should keep in mind, that Regigigas is a nice Pokemon outside of, like, even if it's in its slow form. You still have Thunder Wave, you still have White Guard, so you can still do some stuff, which I'm pretty happy about with Weezing in general. Not Weezing, Regigigas. Yeah, and then we've got Icy Wind on Tatsugiri and Reggie. As I said, Reggie has some tools. Yeah, annoying to play against. You have to predict for the worst. If you see Mouse Ape, it could be just beat up Mouse with Bulk Up Ape. It could also be Population Bomb Mouse with Final Gambit Ape. It could be Population Bomb Mouse with Bulk Up Ape. Raging Bolt, funnily enough, you might consider Raging Bolt as one of the best Reg F Pokemon. You know, when Uzi's pick was, he was the very last player to get a first pick. All players instead decided to pick Urshifu forms or Ogapom forms, or what else was like first pick. We saw some wild first picks. I think Sneasler on Justin's side, and I think Matt first picked indeed female. So yeah, some first picks were crazy if you consider that Raging Bolt was there all along. Yeah, Raging Bolt, I don't have to tell you what Raging Bolt does. If you don't know, maybe you should dive into VGC more, because I'm a VGC player. Woo! No, Raging Bolt can do some nice stuff with Electro Web and Booster Energy, or just Calm Mind setup. So yeah, this team looks annoying to play against, and I would consider it strong, because Dozo counterplay is not easy. You might say it's draft, just fit Haze on one of your mons, or just fit Clear Smog. Clear Smog has counterplay with Terra Steel, first of all, and Haze, like, if you don't have Prankster Haze, you still have to first survive a move. And it's not just Dozo. Like, if your Haze Pokemon is Murkrow, yeah, have fun Murkrow against Raging Bolt, Weezing Galar, and the likes. Nobody put Murkrow, which is a little surprising, but also understandable in a format like this one. Yeah, but overall speaking, I'm a fan of this draft. I think Moltres would have been good to have another offensive Pokemon, which just doesn't super rely on Weezing being on the field, because now your most offensive Pokemon is like, without Weezing, most notably, is probably like Pop Bomb Mousehold, and Pop Bomb has a lot of counterplay with Rocky Helmet, Walk, Ghost, Steel types. But yeah, I'm really excited what Uzi can cook with this. Yeah, is there any major weakness, like any type? Like what springs to my mind is that both the first 2 Pokemon are weak to Fairy. Yeah, Fairy is a little annoying because he only really has Weezing for Fairies. But other than that... Ooh, Psychic looks... Oh, wait. Ooh, hold on. Psychic types look dangerous. Because Impidimp is a fake mon, and he doesn't have a single Psychic resist while having 2 weaknesses. Ooh, this actually... makes this team a little worse than I at first thought. But sometimes you realize stuff the more you look at it, or sometimes you don't realize it at all, and then you have to take a closer look later on to see certain weaknesses. But yeah, I wonder if this team will still rank in my top 5. We've got 12 teams overall, so maybe we should take a look at how I would rank them. Okay, the way I will do this is that I will go from team to team and then rank it respectively, and I will write my ranking on my second screen. And yeah, so we've got Squaw, who's currently number 1, Squaw. And then we've got my team, and I think I like my team more because, as I said, Squaw's team struggles against Trick Room too much, and Squaw's team also struggles against Fairy types too much, which is why I'm giving myself this little jump. And then we've got Aim's team, Joey's team, with Feraligatr, Blood Moon, Willa. I really like Spectria a lot. I also really like the Banette pick. But also Luna Blood Moon, it can shine here, and I also really like the Slowbo pick. Is it better than my team? I don't think so. So I'm putting Joey's team above Squaw's just because it has more tools. It doesn't just lose if something doesn't go your way, because also on Squaw's end, if you miss a Bleak Wind or if you miss a Hurricane with Vivillon or like a Rock Slide with Landorus, it can be devastating. And then we've got Lorcy's team, and Lorcy's first picks were insane, and then he trolled towards the end. So I would not say that it's a bad team. I'm putting it below mine again, but I can already tell you mine is not the best team. At least that's what I think. Is it better than Joey's team? It might be because of the first picks. I think I would put it above Joey's team. So Lorcy on number 2. Okay, now I have to scroll down a little so that you can see every team. Yeah, like this. Not every team, but the next 4. And the next 4 are first Mount's team. I really like the first 3, but then it gets very weird very quickly. I do think that Whimsicott for 18 points is kind of expensive. I also asked in the... It was 20 originally. You need to understand that before we... Like, when we made the list, we originally had 20, and I was like, guys, Whimsicott at 20? Are we going crazy right now? And then I was able to convince them that Whimsicott should be 18. I think it should be even lower, because, yeah, it has a lot of tools with Fake Tears and Anchor and Taunt and Tailwind and Trick Room, but it's not just about the tools. The stats are bad. The stats are honestly bad, but yeah. That being said, I would put Mount's team on number 4. I think I like... This is also just personal preference, by the way. If you like those teams more than I am giving those credit for, that's completely fine. I mean, draft is always subjective. You might also just hate my team, and I do not mind, because everybody has their own opinions, okay? So don't judge me. So, yeah. Mount on number 4. Then we've got Justin's team, and Justin's team I'm putting on number 2, just because it's a little unreliable with Chiyu and Iron Bundle and Tyranitar, and it is too offensive for me. Then we've got Fede Campos team, and I'm sorry, is it better than Squaw's team? It has so many bad picks. Oh. Like, I don't like Mance, I don't like Okidoki, I don't like Snorlax, I don't like Ice Cube. Iron Crown cannot reach its full potential, so I think this has to be number 7 for me now. And then number 1 is Freezeye. I think this Rain Pow Knight combination is incredible. When I talked about it, I did not realize how good it actually is. I'm impressed. I think it's a very, very strong team. Yeah, 100%. I thought about it for a second again, and I would definitely rate it higher than my own team. And then the last 4, I will put my cam here. The last 4 are those. And honestly speaking, actually I can go a little down, and then I will move the cam even. Yeah, this seems good. I think the Battle Room team is cool. I like it a lot. I think it's annoying to play against, which is why I'm not looking forward playing against it. I also do not know if Colin is in my group. But speaking of which, insane team. I think it has some very, very good tools, which is why I'm putting it at number 3, because I still like my team a little more. Then we've got Brenty, and Brenty, look, the team is not bad, okay? As I said, it has some nice tools, but it just looks so off. I don't know what it is. I honestly do not know what exactly it is. Is it that it has too many spread moves? No, I cannot explain why it's looking... It's just gut feeling that this team isn't great. I don't know. I will put it above Squaw, above Mount, but below Joey. Yeah, I will put it below Joey. And then we've got Joe's team. And Joe's team also looks a little off, but it can get so dangerous with the screens and... Screens counterplay, you might say just one brick break, but it's easier said than done. And also, there's way more stuff than just screens. Slowest or like fastest one Lando is still giving me some chills in a bad way. But I would put this team above Joey's, above Lawsey's, but below Justin's. So this is Joe, and then we've got Uzi, and the psychic weakness, man. The psychic weakness is too crazy, and now that I know it, I cannot look away from it. But it has some strong duos, and it's overall pretty threatening. But I'm putting it below Lawsey. Yeah. Which means my final ranking is Freezeye's team is the best. And then it's my team on number 2. Then it's the Battle Room team. Then it's Justin's team. Then it's Joe's team. Then Lawsey. Followed by Uzi, then we've got Joey, and we've got Brenty as well, and then the bottom 3 for me are Mount. I like the first 3, but the rest is just I do not want to play this myself. And then we've got Squaw. Actually, maybe Squaw should be higher because Fluttermane, Lando, Torn, Regidrago is still good. Yeah, I will put Squaw over Mount. So Squaw is number 10, Mount is number 11, and then Federico Campo Reyes is number 12. So this is my final ranking. This does not mean that the first 6 players are making it to playoffs, by the way. This doesn't mean a thing. But this is my opinion on all the drafts we had. So this is quite a long video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're looking forward. Week 1 uploads will be next week. Group A uploads will be on Saturday. Group B uploads will be on Sunday. So check the description and the document check the document in the description below if you want to see the full schedule. My first opponent is Justin Tang. Yo, I'm really looking forward to play against Hyper Offense. Oh, this is going to get so bad. But I think we are going to have some fun. Hopefully, we will see. And yeah, I hope you liked this video and you will see more of the content in the future. Also, all coaches are linked in the description down below as well. So check all of them out. They are phenomenal guys and I'm really looking forward to play with them, against them. And I'm really, really excited for this project. See you next time. Bye bye.